Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm gonna go through a lot of requests that y'all have. I am unable to do a live stream this weekend because I'm gonna be at a position from a day job that they're just gonna call me at any time of the night or any time of the day, and I just don't want to get interrupted for a few times every 10-15 minutes for like 2 hours. So I'm gonna bypass that. I'm gonna do these individual chart requests here. I'm talking about all of them. Gonna timestamp them later too. This is AMD. It's just gonna be the first request here. What AMD is doing is really been just going downstairs over here since really March 2024. Has just been a steadily downtrend on low volume. There's really a significant decline in volume during the entire time, and it's going right smack into 0.678. Initially, there was some hope that 0.76 was going to hold, but it decided not to. It decided to choose violence and go all the way down to 0.678. When it does that on low volume, you really never know how low it's going to go. There's also a possibility where it just keeps choosing violence and goes to 0.5, right? It can always go lower. Does it have to? No. I think this is the grab liquidity that it's doing right now. It's doing it very, very slowly, and it's burning a lot of people, because a lot of people might probably thought that 120 is probably going to hold us right there at the horizontal zone right there at those wicks, but now it decided to go all the way down to the FIB level below. What it has really done is broke multiple FIB levels on the way up, and it's just back testing a few FIB levels on the way down, right? It basically just re-entered the golden pocket, which is going to be around between the 0.76 and between 0.618. If it breaks down underneath, you are in a little bit of trouble here. But again, how much of a try are we going to be? Not much, because the volume is low. There's really, whenever this thing decides to have some volume coming in, this thing can pump huge in a hurry. And there are a lot of examples that it has, something like that has happened. One is, look no further than one that recently has just played up, right? ASTS. You have 5 candles over here on declining volume. All it takes is just a little bit of volume here. You just have like a bullish engulfing. Easy, right? That's all it takes sometimes. The other example that I have is, you just look at AMD itself. It did the same thing over here, right? Had a bullish engulfing candle. It just push, boom, 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 right? On declining volume over here, all it takes is just a little bit of volume here to come in. Next thing you know, a trend can reverse big, right? Another thing I've also seen was Affirm, right? Affirm also had this 7 candles on the way down here, and on no volume at all. Next thing you know, it just takes 1 candle to be bullish engulfing for many of these, and next thing you know, just reverse the trend. So I see the same thing happening in AMD during the entire time it was happening. You can look at a weekly or two. During the entire time it was happening, unbalanced volume is still going up, even though price is going down, right? I'm going to illustrate that here by showing you. I'm not going to draw them. I'm just going to point them out. Here, price has gone from April 2024 all the way to current price, and it's been going down, right? I mean, I'm not making up. 140s going down to 110s. The entire time, the unbalanced volume has been going up. So there's a little bit of imbalance, if you will, between this price, actually, and the unbalanced volume here. It tells you that there's a lot of secret buying pressure behind the scene that is happening at AMD. It just looks like AMD needs to find a bottom at some point. I don't know whether or not it's going to grab liquidity and push all the way down to like 190s. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I still think they're great, but the risk-reward ratio here is still pretty decent, right? I also look for usually 2 capitulation events, right? This is capitulation event number 1 over here, right? With increased volume. This is a little bit of a capitulation event with the recent earnings over here, where you have a little bit of a pickup of volume over here. So you have 2 capitulation events over here too. It's not a bad thing. Can it keep capitulating? The answer is yes. If the price keeps going down lower, a lot of people are gonna want to try to capitulate down. But I just think that the risk-reward ratio is favoring the bulls. Now, somebody asked me about SMCI. I'm a little bit conflicted about this one. I'll tell you why that is. Because I never really do purely technical analysis. I look at other data too. One of the data that I'm looking at is institutional ownership. Right? You can see how whenever price dropped for the entire 2 years, actually on the way up, I should say, when SFCI, I'm going to do a monthly here so you know what I'm talking about. When SFCI was just kind of going up all the way to March 2024, the interesting thing is the institution actually been reducing shares. up until the point it started kind of plummet, right? You can see institutions really just kind of plummeted their shares from SMCI. The recent trend has changed. I don't think they split it or anything. I think somebody probably knew something behind the scene, maybe. You can see how SMCI institutional ownership just kind of shot way up, right? So it does make me wonder whether or not this is a reversing trend here. It does make me wonder that. I have been skeptical on SMCI. There's a big reason for that. It's because I look at these kinds of things where the 20-month moving average has been telling us that there's a very, very strong trend here for years, with the 20-month moving average moving up, 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 and with price staying above the 20-month moving average for about 5 years. And you broke down underneath this key support level, and you have a bearish backtest here, and you failed to break above, right? It failed to break above. So in general, I think that looking at just pure technical analysis, I would say, okay, bearish backtest once, twice, it looks like it wants to just plummet from here, right? The other thing that's kind of going against is really the institutional accumulation. It really does make me wonder whether or not this, so far, I mean, again, the month is still early, right? Whether or not this bullish engulfing candle is just going to be a little bit of a fake out. We can get rejected here again around $48, $49, and this is it for SMCI, right? I think that if I didn't see the institutional accumulation, I would have favored that scenario. I would think that this is like a fake out bullish engulfing candle. It's going to hit resistance here around 48, and it's going to plummet from there, right? And you also see that there's a trend change. You can see the Bollinger Band is kind of going back up, right? So this very parabolic bull trend is completely exhausted. I just don't know whether or not it could push back up, back test it, and go higher, because institutional, this is incredible. Like, you just basically have, they used to have about like 50 million shares. It dropped all the way down to like less than 20 million shares, and right now it just shot up above 70 million shares. This is like absolutely incredible, and there's a little bit of mismatch here too in terms of price action, right? So maybe they're shorting it. I don't know. I doubt it. So I'm gonna say I'm not sure what the setup is here. I'm gonna stay away. If I end up missing an opportunity and SFCI end up going to like the $1,000, then I'll say, hey, bulls, you guys are amazing. You picked up something institutional want, and that maybe the fundamentals also switch. I don't know. I have no idea. And it decided to change its fate of a flattening 20-month moving average as resistance, cycle top look over here, and decided to just simply switch the trend, and just decided to go up from here. Congratulations. I just don't know enough to probably, based on just looking at traditional technical analysis, I'm just not sure about whether or not this is like what I really would go for, if you will. So I'm gonna probably stay away from that, but just know that the institutions are believing in the stock. So take that with a grain of salt. I actually don't know what to do with a chart like that there. I have Coinbase here. What am I going to do with Coinbase? Well, Coinbase has been trying to break above the final boss zone, which is the light green area over here. And you can also see, why is Coinbase not going up? Why is Coinbase having a hard time going up, even though the earnings were great, right? I mean, I think the revenue beat like 23%. Like everything got beaten, right? Why isn't it up? Well, because it's at resistance. Because it's right there at the ARK, right? You can see how this Gann chart here has been providing some pretty decent market symmetry here, right? We're getting to the point that we're hitting strong resistance. We've had some pretty decent volume being picked up over here over the last 2 months. I think we're going to break through the Gann arc here and go higher, but we've just been rejected right at the zone over here for weeks now. And because we've been rejected here, the 8% day was really pushed all the way up to resistance right before earnings. So I think right now, based on technically speaking, I think this is still a very bullish chart because the volume has been increasing on this uptrend, right? And we just hitting resistance over here, but we've been trying to push for this resistance here for about 3 months. I think we will really break above that, and whenever it does that, the next scan level is probably going to be like at the angle and the arc over here around 576, which is going to be close to double from here, right? The next arc after that is going to be somewhere around like 1,200, 1,300, right? If you do a fib level, if you do it from the previous all-time high, which is when it IPO back in April 2021, if you do a fib level here, you can see it got over 0.786. If that's the case, then the higher levels up here would get hit, right? That's generally what it means. So if I'm going to pull off some of the fib levels over here to kind of take a look at what we could potentially hit, I'm going to basically just do a few fibs here. I think that it would probably end up hitting the arc over here. I'm not sure how big of a resistance or the arc is going to be here with the angle around $600. I think $600 is going to be a big psychological level. You might get rejected over here. You might have to come back test the previous all-time high before going higher. But the next level beyond $600 is going to be 800, 870, 880. And then it's going to be up here around the arc, which may be around 1.44 over here on the log fib, $1,266. And after that, it's going to be 1.618 on the log fib here, which is going to be $2,156. Can it go higher potentially? But I'm just going to leave those levels here. There's no need to call for higher levels beyond the 1.618 on the log fib, because that's going to be like 7 or 8x from here. So that's what I think about Coinbase, but I do see higher levels above based on what I'm seeing here. I think it's just the fact that it reclaimed the 0.76 here on the tailwind of bonus support band, and so far this week it's also backtested bonus support band, and it bounced from it very, very nicely, right? So because of all that, I just have a hard time seeing it really going plummeting all the way down lower. I think Coinbase is going to do okay. So those are kind of my target. One stock that I actually have been eyeing a little bit on, because I used to own this stock. I actually took profits from it right when I see some potential weakness over here, because it's basically hitting the 0.786 over here. And if things break through 0.786, then you're talking about things that just end up going to the moon, right? But because it got rejected at 0.786, it could take a while, and it did take a while to come back, grab liquidity underneath the 0.618 here, but ultimately it was holding support at 0.618. It's just stuck inside this log golden pocket between 0.618 and 0.786, right? The entire time just grab liquidity, but it's backtesting and break out the zone over here again. I think that if you look at the volume, it has some picking up volume over here for the last couple of months. I think that it wants to challenge the 0.786, and that's what it's doing right here today. I think it would be able to get past that over the next few weeks, and not as soon as today. And once you get past the 0.786, that's when the momentum would pick up again. That's when you might potentially be looking at some potential all-time high stuff here, right? That's what I generally think about charts like this. And the truth is, you also have a very, very beautiful market structure here, right? Big giant cup handle, it's breaking away from the handle. It looks like it wants to just break out higher. If you're looking at the monthly, there's really nothing bearish about this. Looking at Ichimoku, if I must put up some of the indicators, you are basically talking about a bullish crosshair over a year ago, and price basically have been holding the tank in here for a while, but it broke down, back test occasion passed, and you also end up just staying inside of this immature Ichimoku cloud here with leading span A. So I think that it's going to end up going higher over time. This is a really kind of more or less bullish look over here. Now, how high does it go? Nobody knows. Once it breaks about the 0.786, if it breaks all-time high, then some of these targets up here are valid. 130, 170, 260 maybe over the next few years. I don't know how long it's going to take, But I think if it breaks about the 0.786, I think the 1.272 here is a possibility. It might be a little bit subdued. It might be the 1.236 here, maybe $120, which is going to be a psychological level. So I think that's probably going to be like the next target if it's able to break about the previous all-time high. It can take years to get there, but it's a pretty nice bull trend. It's even holding the 20-month moving average very, very nicely, right? It's a very, very nice stock. So I'm good with it. Not PTO. I need to look at PTO. And someone asked me about Peloton. Actually, looking at this, I'm wondering whether or not I should add Peloton to my watch list, because it actually looks incredibly bullish. If you watch my video from lesson 13, I was talking about how to extrapolate the whole elite waves, if you will, just looking at the bull in Japan. You have usually the first move, which is going to be a move up that is very impulsive, and that's going to be switching it from the negative sloping 20-month moving average into flat, into slightly positive sloping, right? This is usually the first move that is the trend change, so this is usually elite wave 1. And I expect to have some kind of elite wave 2 after that. Now, is this going to be the 2? Maybe. Does it mean it has to come back all the way down to the 20? It can, but it doesn't have to. And it's doing this consolidation here is what usually wave 2 is. Wave 3 is when you have the Bollinger Band expanding and price just ride up along the upper Bollinger Band. It looks like Peloton might be getting ready to do that. Man, I'm looking at this, I'm like, interesting. Very interesting. So is this going to be wave 3 here that's going to end up actually going to be pretty bullish? Because wave 3 is usually the longest and the strongest of a bull trend. So I wonder whether or not wave 3 is starting soon, because you got the Bollinger Band expansion here. Interesting. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. If you don't use this, you do Ichimoku, you can see how it's just stuck in range, right? It's got a bullish engulfing candle here, but it's still stuck in range. So I don't know whether or not it's quite ready to just do that just yet. But it was able to close the month about the kitchen here, which is around $10.26. They could grab it up here to the bottom of the cloud. Where it's going to hit the cloud, I don't know. It's going to hit it in the teens. It's going to hit it like the 30s. I don't know how fast or how big it's going to move. But if it's able to break about the red over here, then it's going higher. The only thing about this chart is that you don't really have quite the bullish cross quite just yet. But this is still a higher high as far as I'm concerned compared to that, right? So I think it needs to form a higher low. If this is the higher low, then it's changing the trend very rapidly. And I think Peloton's going to be a pretty good buy here. Am I sure about the fact that Peloton has bottomed and it's not going to make another lower low? I'm not sure. Nobody is sure. But this is as decent as a reversal can get based on the 20-month moving average. Like, this is as decent as it can get. It's stuck in the range of the Ichimoku. We'll see whether or not we break about 10.26 here. If we do, the bullish cross will come and the price will end up going up to the profit. Right? That's what I think about Peloton. A couple of dogs here that has been kind of underperforming from their earnings, I guess. DDOG, monthly chart here. Am I bearish on this stock? Heck no. You can see how it's holding the Tenkan over here almost perfectly, right? And the price kind of wanted to touch a 0.5 log fib here. Didn't really quite touch that. And right now the Tenkan is around 134.44. Looks like we want to backtest here again. Right. If it's able to hold the Tenkan, this is a rising 3 formation. We have a big giant green candle with 3 bearish candles here on declining volume. If the month ended up closing like this, then the next month would be favorable to have some kind of bullish engulfing candle go up. Can it go down with declining volume and just kind of go down a lot further to grab liquidity? Yes, it can. Right. But I think this is a favorable setup. If things end up breaking down underneath the 0.5, the lower it goes, the better risk-reward ratio it is. And nobody knows how low it's going to go on low volume. But I think there's a good chance that this is at 1, 2, 3 right into the tank in the blue line over here, or 134.44. And if it's able to hold, then you have a good chance of having some bullish reversal here to kind of keep going up. This is just a very, very beautiful bull flag. Right. It got rejected here at 0.786 here almost perfectly, right? And it had to come back and back test some things, build up more energy before going higher, because you're just not going to pass through the 0.786 here for the first time. Generally, stocks just don't do that. But this is a higher low situation. DDOG's a good risk-reward ratio here. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna put the Bollinger Band here to kind of show you. Same thing, right? Continue to expand up a Bollinger Band here. Low Bollinger Band is not expanding yet because if you look at sideways, like price has gone sideways here for like a year. So if anything, low Bollinger Band is kind of contracting here. But upper Bollinger Band is still going up. I think it's going to allow price to kind of go up along to the 0.786 here, $170 here to challenge that again. It just looks like it wants to do that. The trade desk, should you get the trade desk? Is there any warning sign on the trade desk? Yeah, there is. You know, it looks bullish, right? The only problem is that the trade desk here, I'm going to pull up some important fib levels here. 1.272. The only thing is, like, it kind of got rejected here around the 1.271 through 414 here, and it just decided that it got tired and it wanted to cool down. And this big giant cool down here has been extremely brutal because it even broke through the golden pocket between the 0.618 and 0.786. This is extremely brutal of a correction. I actually, looking at this, am I going to want to buy here? I don't know, right? I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't know, because I am seeing some concerns here with a few things. But if you're not looking at the concerns that I have, even then, there is still a possibility for it to go a little bit lower. Now, I think this is a potential decent spot that it could bounce, because I just don't think that things break through 0.618 and 0.786 just like that. Usually stocks can at least give you some kind of bounce. If I look at the weekly here, like, look at that, this is like a big capitulation candle over here. Look at the volume. We haven't had volume like this since like 2021. This is incredible volume, right? Right into the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. It kind of broke through that here a little bit, right? But if you also look at the Supaichi, it's like holding it almost perfectly. It's like right at the Supaichi cloud, right? So I think that it's been respecting these things, because over here it bounced right off of the higher part of the Ichimoku cloud. Here it bounced from the bottom of Ichimoku cloud and just went up a lot higher. Here basically just kind of come back down to the Ichimoku cloud. I bet we're going to end up closing week above of it, which is what price is telling you. But still, this is a very, very, very damaging candle. Am I going to want to buy this here? Maybe not. Because even if it reverses, it would probably need to get back in the golden pocket between $85 and $98 and probably need to consolidate sideways over here for a while before going up. So you might have a little bit of a dead money situation here. The other thing too is there a possibility for it to go down lower? Is the falling knife now? Can it go all the way down to the 0.382, which is exactly where the top of the Ichimoku cloud here, around $67 potentially. Now, am I going to favor that scenario where it's just going to go straight down? Probably not, because it's just way outside the low Bollinger Band. It's just way outside the low Bollinger Band here. And if you look at the daily too, like, it's just incredible. It just broke underneath the 0.618 here, way outside the low Bollinger Band. The low Bollinger Band is going to catch up in a hurry. So don't get me wrong, but look at how, like, this daily candle here is in space. Look at how bad it is far away from the weekly, right? Weekly Bollinger Band, right? So I don't know whether or not it's just going to reverse trend just like that. It probably need to consolidate sideways here. You probably need to do a lot of kind of like technical repair. But this is a good spot to buy based on Bollinger Band. Yeah, probably. It's a good spot to buy based on Ichimoku. Yeah, probably. Or Supaichi for that matter. It's a good spot to buy. Yeah, probably. Do I want to buy this? Even probably not, because I think that you're going to have a lot of technical repairing that would need to be done, and you also lost the 20-month moving average here. So that tells me there's going to be some technical repairing that's going to do. When's the last time something like this had happened? Over here, right? In March of 2020. Is this a March of 2020 type situation? And it just end up just keep on going up. Liquidity just come. It's like it's all about like a scared economy shutting down. Liquidity, come back and pump things way up again, and next thing you know, just reverse the trend and just keep going higher. Maybe, right? Or is this one of those situations where it just kind of got a little bit too far too fast, and you need to come back and back test at 20, and that was signaling a little bit of a exhaustion here. Maybe, right? I gotta say, if I look at the RSI, here, I actually would not be convinced, because I'm actually not seeing any major bearish divergence here. It's also not way too overbought, that I actually would not necessarily expect this big giant rug pull candle here happening. Can things go down further on declining volume? Yeah, it can, right? You also have some volume kind of picking up here, which means that there's some demand here around the previous all-time high. So something bad must have happened with the earnings. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I do wonder whether or not there's a trend of institutions declining, and the answer is not really. In February, actually, I guess this is before, like, this is all the 13F that was filed before the earnings, you have actually a very nice bull trend here of people buying, you know. So it's a little bit of discrepancy in terms of price and what institutions are actually doing. I don't know. Maybe this data is a little bit delayed. Maybe they're exiting now. I don't know. But overall, I don't know whether or not I can really pick this up based on what I usually look at. I thought that it's probably gonna come back down to, because it is a downtrend. I think it could probably break down here and back to a 0.786 here. Probably end up passing and just go a lot higher. So this is a little bit worse than what I would expect. So be careful, right? Maybe something's brewing. I don't know, but be careful. Or maybe it's just do one of those like COVID. Maybe it's just one of those like COVID rug pull and it just goes a lot higher from there, right? I don't know. Anyway, those are kind of my thoughts. ARKG was my next request here. Is to at resistance. You can see the scan here. It's been following the market symmetry here on the monthly, very well, very well, and it's just been stuck in a wedge right underneath the horizontal here and above the angle here, right? Broke through multiple arcs here and then broke down through multiple arcs here. It's been holding this arc. It wants to gravitate back up to the arc above, but it's at resistance. Why is it having such a hard time breaking above? Well, let's look at this. Let's look at the 20-month moving average. It's been negative sloping for so long, right? Because this downtrend is so vicious. But it looks like we might be trying to reclaim the 20-month moving average. Is it going to be one of those deals over here that's trying and just fails and just making that like lower? Maybe, right? It's still negatively sloping, so it's still going to have a little bit of a hard time trying to break through, right? And I'll also show you that this is also GAN resistance here, right? So a little bit of a confluence of resistance here to be a little bit more careful about. But it could be the time where it could end up reversing the trend and just keeps on going up. I think there's entirely good possibility that this could be a very much an Adam and Eve double bottom over here, and this is the Eve over here that's being formed. Kind of means that it could get rejected down further by the 20-month moving average and back test the angle down here again, build up more energy before going up. Yeah, it can. We're resistant. We just got rejected off of it, and right now we're at 20-month moving average resistance. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, I think it's consolidated sideways here far enough. This whole thing right here is accumulation. I have no doubt about it. So whenever the accumulation is done, you have some increased volume over here. Whenever accumulation is done, it's probably going to be pretty powerful. It's probably going to like shoot all the way to the bottom of the arc here, or maybe even to like the top of the arc over here around $41. Is that going to be enough for me to want to enter? That's like a measly like 33% on the way up, right? Or higher, actually, like 35, 37%, 40% on the way up, right? Is that enough for you to want to do that right resistance? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I do think that is becoming more of a bullish. I'm actually pretty bullish on the whole biotech sector here in 2025 moving forward. RXRX, I got a GAN chart here, 180 and 1. It's just been giving me some pretty decent market symmetry here. Yeah, actually, I think so. It's just got rejected here. The arc over here came back test, went up to back to the same arc, got rejected here again. What did it do? Came back to the angle, came back to the arc over here. It's just been hovering and it's just been ranging sideways between these two arcs over here, right? And now it's been hucking this angle on the way up. And now you have all of these volume coming in. They're trying to push it through the arc here, and now you have price actually pushed through the arc here, going right to the horizontal, right? So all these things are telling me that there's a lot of energy that's being built up. Actually, I would not mind buying here. I would not mind buying here. I'm gonna make that another list, another stock that's gonna be on my watch list here, if you will. Huge volume coming in. Big resistance over here. I think they were shorting and it broke through, right? Now you're getting back into another resistance zone over here, which is going to be around 8.5, 8.6, which you can see it was resistance over here. So I don't know whether or not it's going to just break through. The 0.382 over here is going to be strong resistance here too. You can see how there's resistance over here, and also over here. You saw a support over here, support broke underneath, back. It was bearish back test here. Bearish back test here again. Maybe we break through here this time because we're forming a big giant around the bottom. So this is actually not a bad spot to buy because of the volume. It's actually not a bad spot to be at. And I can guarantee you that institutions are accumulating. I just know that. Like this makes me actually feel pretty good about it. This actually makes me feel extremely good about it. I'm gonna turn off all this stuff over here. I'm gonna do it on balance volume. Man. I don't even know what to make of it. If I look at I don't even know what to make of it. I'm not really seeing like a bullish divergence per se, except for the fact that price just kind of minimally go up and unbalanced volume just hugely pushing up, right? I don't think all of them are just like shorting the stock. I think they're actually accumulating here. It makes me wonder if I should buy some here. Wow. It makes me wonder if I should start a position. Anyway, I'm not gonna make a decision right here, right now, because I'm still trying to get through a few more stocks here. But that's a very, very interesting chart. Now, SLQT, select quote, you can see how you got like this big volume over here, right? And you got a gap up over here, and you have a hard time breaking up further. It might end up closing the gap, or it might end up just plummeting and back to this might be an island here. I do not know for sure, unless if there's some great fundamental things. I think this pump over here may end up getting faded. It also seems to be a little bit way outside the weekly upper Bollinger Band on the monthly upper Bollinger Band here as well. So I think this might end up getting faded here in the short term, but the long term, there's no doubt that this is a very, very nice bull trend. Like, this is also one of those stocks that I think is starting wave 3, right? This whole thing right here is probably wave 1, or maybe this is wave 1, this is wave 2, this is like sub 1 of wave 3, this is sub 2 of wave 3, and this is wave 3 of 3, right? It's going to be the most impulsive of them all. Volume's coming in. I think it's going to have some, pretty nice bullish continuation here. I wouldn't worry about the short term. Even if the short term, if it ends up coming back down and close the gap, which I'm not sure it was going to do, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just way outside the upper Bollinger Band, just waiting for the Bollinger Band to expand here on the daily, right? So I'm actually not that convinced that this is like an island top anymore, based on where the stock is in the cycle. I think it's at a very bullish part of the cycle here. I think it's probably going to end up going a lot higher over time, right? But it is overextended here on the monthly. It's overextended here on the weekly. It was overextended here on the daily, where it's just way outside the upper Bollinger Band. It just simply needed to cool down. Now, looking at it now, I think that it's going to be okay. I think you're probably going to have some bullish continuation, but just understand that there's always a risk wherever you have this look over here. We've gapped up and not able to push up higher. If it pushes up higher, then that's it, right? If it doesn't, then you have a strong resistance zone over here, and you might end up having an island reversal, right? So that's what I think. Would I want to get into a stock like this after it just gapped up here on the daily? Probably not. But could it just kind of run away from me? Maybe, right? You can also see that one thing about gap fills is that gap fills can also serve as some really, really strong resistance, right? If fill the gap over here is strong resistance, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking here on this stock. If I look at the fib levels here a little bit more carefully, I'm just looking at the structure. I don't even need to use any indicators. Just look at the structure as bullish, right? If I do Bollinger Band here, you can already see that it's bullish. If I do Ichimoku, you can see that it's bullish here. Bullish cross, back test the Tengen Kitchen here, pass, right? Because we reclaim them both. And it's going up to the cloud over here. The cloud over here is 9.4, 9.5, 9.4, I would say, right? If you look at the fib levels all the way from here, going down to here, from the all-time high to all-time low, and this one right here, I'm going to have to use the log scale. You can see that it's hitting rejection at 0.618, right? You're not going to pass the 0.618 immediately, so you're going to end up probably needing a little bit more energy here being built up here, but I think it's got enough energy to push through because the Bollinger Band is completely expanded. So I probably won't buy here because it's closer to resistance, but any kind of significant pullback would be a good enter zone. If you already entered like lower, I'm just going to let it ride. Like, it could all the way back down to like 4.5, 4.4, 4.3 is entirely possible, but I'm probably just going to let it ride. I don't care. You might feel differently about it, but I think it's a higher time frame. It looks very bullish, so I'm not going to, like, I'm probably just going to hold. ALGS, pretty decent chart here, right? Again, it looks like this is wave 1, right? It looks like this is the one that really is bucking the trend from negative sloping to positive sloping, from resistance to support, right? And the wave 2 corrective wave is happening. It basically just got rejected here, 0.382 here, almost perfectly. Coming back down, Try to find some support. Is it going to find support at the 20-month moving average? Is it going to find support at 0.236 here for the month? Is it going to go lower and grab liquidity down below? Nobody knows the answer to that. All I know is that wave 2, try to buy at the bottom, trying to catch a falling knife would be what I would try to do if I'm trying to get into the stock, knowing that the risk can continue down lower, but the volume is not really saying that it would, right? And that is a little bit far away from some of the key resistance levels above. Like key resistance levels above is going to be 0.382 and also this horizontal zone over here where you got rejected here, right? Those are going to be some key levels above. So those are going to be your reward. The risk is going to be down here, right, where you're at right now, or maybe a little bit lower, or maybe a little bit lower after that. So those are kind of your support and resistance level. I think the risk reward ratio skews towards the reward part of it based on where price is at right now is what I think, right? So kind of take that into consideration and make your best judgment here. Somebody asked me to chart something very interesting here, which is ETH over US AM2 money supply. I actually don't think that it looks that much different from Ethereum. I think if anything, it doesn't really add a whole lot to Ethereum as far as I can tell. Because if you just look at the ETH chart here, I can do one like comparison here. If you just look at the ETH chart here, there's really not that big of a difference between the two, right? I can't really tell that big of a difference. So maybe a little bit more bullish, but I can't really tell like that big of a difference. So I'm going to put up some indicators here. They're going to look very similar here on the Bollinger Band, about the same. There's really no change. You know the reason why there's no change? Because the AMD money supply went from like 21 trillion to 21 trillion, and that hasn't really changed all that much proportionally speaking, right? Which is not going to impact Ethereum price that much. Ethereum price is a lot more volatile, so it's going to wash that out. It's not going to, like US money supply, it basically just went from like 21 trillion to 21.5 trillion, so you're not going to mess with the Ethereum chart that much, to be completely honest with you. What do I think about Ethereum? I think Ethereum looks good here. I think Ethereum is stuck at the golden pocket between 0.618 and 0.786. And that's a pretty bullish thing. If things get stuck in the golden pocket and if you're at the bottom of the range, you end up grabbing liquidity down below, like this is actually really, really bullish. I think that whenever it's done consolidating sideways over here, it's going to make some of the higher targets up here above. I don't think it's going to go to 77,000. I think that's ridiculous. But do I think that it could hit some of the higher targets up here above? I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible. I think it's entirely possible that it hits the 2.272. And it's ridiculous for me to say, but I think it's possible. Do I think it's going to do that? Well, it depends on the trend. Right now we don't really even have the true reversal yet, right? But just based on the fact that it's stuck in the golden pocket here, building a lot of energy, based on the fact that I think global liquidity is going up, I think it's going to bode very well for Ethereum, and also based on the fact that like institutions been accumulating Ethereum. By the way, Trump's been accumulating Ethereum, right? Based on all of that, and also you're going to have a little bit of a supply shock. It's very easy to have a supply shock here. This is an accumulation here for 2 years. This is another reaccumulation zone here for another year. It's building up a lot of energy. The reason why people don't think it's going to go higher because it's been stuck sideways here for a year, and people think the bull cycle is almost over. I don't think so. I laid down a strong case as to why I don't think that's the case. And if China does well, watch out, right? If China does well, watch out for Ethereum. What do I mean by that? Why would I even say that? So if you look at the Hang Seng Index here, which is actually looking pretty bullish, by the way. I think this breakout is real. If you look at the Hang Seng Index fund here, and if you're gonna try to line this up with what let me see, kind of waking up here a little bit, so I'm still trying to figure out how to stay away. Pretty good lineup here, right? If you're looking at when Ethereum pumps when the Chinese stock market pumps. You can see how Ethereum start pumping here around January 2017. together with the Chinese market, right? And the next pump over here for Ethereum, you really needed this big giant Chinese pump here from March of 2020 all the way to February of 2021, right? This pump allows the parabolic bull trend for Ethereum to happen, right? And whenever the Chinese market just start dumping this around Ethereum, start showing a lot of weakness here, and the trend got exhausted, right? Yeah, the next big pump over here, if China's market is doing pretty well over here, I think Ethereum is going to do very well too. I just have a hard time seeing Ethereum not making higher targets. Anyway, that's beside the point. Dogecoin, let's do an update here. The update is good. I got good updates for you. Well, first of all, this is a weekly chart here. This is a can here. We did break down underneath the can here. After getting rejected here, the angle. That doesn't really bother me all that much. I think the cycle is just slower. I think the liquidity crap is just stronger. It just basically backtests this horizontal zone over here and passed, right? With flying colors. If you look at the FIP levels, I still think that the FIP level is still looking pretty decent here, because right now we might be in the process this week to reclaim the 0.618. It had a deviation above the 0.786, a deviation below 0.618. I think it's just stuck in a range over here, and I think it's cooling down from this big giant move up that we had in November and December of 2024. This whole zone over here between 0.61 and 0.76 is the golden pocket, right? And if things get stuck in the golden pocket for a while, it's not a bad thing. Last time it got stuck here for a few weeks at the golden pocket was this zone over here, where it got rejected here. The angle trying to hold the arc is between the 0.618 and 0.786, right? Stuck here for a few weeks and then just push up to the next arc above. That's what happened last time. And the last time, whenever that ended up happening, you end up having price just gonna get really close to 0.618 here, hovering around 1.618 here, hovering around 1.414 over here for a while, and make another leg up higher to the next arc. Do I think that Doge is going to do that this cycle? I do not know the answer to that. All I know is that if it goes to or close to the 1.618, if I can get that done here, if it gets close to the 1.618, then you're talking about $4 Doge, and that could be the end of the cycle. It could push all the way up here to the arc, and that could be the end of the cycle, right? Or just goes up all the way, wick all the way up here, and that could be the end of the cycle. Or it could make another, like, up to like $63, you know, like, I don't think that's gonna happen, because that's gonna be like trillions and trillions of market cap. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think about Doge. I think it looks like it wants to push up to the 1.618 potentially into the arc up here above, right? Where is it gonna hit, when it's gonna hit, I don't know, but it's building up higher high, higher low here for it to be able to do that. Like, this is a very bullish thing, right? It's trying to push above the angle here for how long now? I think it's just a matter of time where it breaks and just can't go up to the next arc here. That's what I think about Doge. Now, I'm positioned that way, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I'm positioned that way because that's also what I'm seeing. So take that with a grain of salt. I like Doge where it's at right now. Somebody asked me to chart this. I'm not sure what pulse chain is, and there are all these different symbols. I'm just going to pick one because they all look kind of the same to me. If you look at this hasn't really been around for that long. Look at a weekly chart, just pulling the Bollinger Band here. You can see how it got rejected at the top of the Bollinger Band here. And I got a big giant rejection candle over here, right? So it looks pretty nasty to me. I don't think I'm going to just want to jump immediately into something like this. I think I'm probably just going to let the technicals kind of play out. I got rejected here, 0.382. The FIP levels are not that pretty, so I'm not going to use them. It also got rejected close to the weekly Ichimoku cloud, right? Confluence zone over here, but you're coming back down, you're finding some support here on the Ichimoku Tenkan and Kijun, right? That's what it's doing. Push up, got rejected up a Bollinger Band, rejected close to the Ichimoku cloud top of here, come back down, trying to find some support here at the Tenkan and Kijun. So yeah, it doesn't look bad, but our support band is still there. But whenever you have this big giant nasty candle, I tend to like to stay away, because usually the next natural thing, the next candle is going to be down. And it doesn't have to be a plummet all the way down, it's just going to be down. And it all maybe is just a little bit down to the support band here. But this is a pretty bearish candle over here, pretty bearish rejection candle over here. So I would just leave it alone. This thing hasn't even been around for more than 20 months, so I can't really do any like cycle analysis or anything like that. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that. These are all like short-term time frame stuff that I'm talking. So maybe this is going to get very bullish moving forward, because this is a very much of a big giant cup in a handle type situation. Maybe it just needs to build a little bit more energy to kind of break through above. But if you ask me what's going to happen next week, my bet is going to be down. Right. That's all I have to say. So somebody asked me about Tau. I think Tau, I can look at Binance. Man, is there another Tau chart that has more history? Maybe. Let me see. Yeah, I do. Yeah, this is it. So the way I see it, Tau, I have the weekly chart here, 180, 100, right? I have the weekly chart here, and initially I think that these targets up here are possible. So I'm going to kind of move these a little bit side, because I don't think it's just going to like moon from here, right? Initially I think these targets up here are possible, depending where it's going to hit. This is a big giant consolidation zone over here. ARK, push through ARK, backtest ARK, push through ARK, backtest ARK, push, just riding down along with the ARK along with it, right? And right now we're getting to the horizontal gain level here. I think this is maybe where an area that is going to end up finding support and bounce up to the next impulse, going to be like about $1,233. I think it's entirely possible. There's also the entire downtrend over here is also kind of backtesting the Ichimoku cloud here. I think Ichimoku cloud is also holding. It's underneath the support band, so it's probably going to need a little bit more time to push through, but I still think that this is finding support here. And I think once it's able to break about the bonus support band over here, I think it's going to gravitate up to the ARK above here next. Not a bad chart, actually. I think this is like a cup and a huge handle here. Still looking at like a bullish structure here. I think the entire time this uptrend over here was exhausted. You can tell. Just looking at the log scale here. I can put up the RSI and show you what I meant by that. You can see that the entire bull trend here in 2023 was just exhausted here by like February, March 2024, because price went up, RSI went down, and RSI continues to go down, right? So what are you thinking right now? I'm thinking that it's got a negative trend line over here that you might end up just pushing up above over here to make a little bit of a lower high here. You might end up getting rejected here, and I don't know how, you know, I think it's going to, if I'm looking at this, it's going to grab it up to the RSI trend line over here. It's going to break the brown support band. It's going to get rejected up here somewhere. I don't know where exactly it would be. Maybe this high over here around like 670. Maybe it's high up here around 700. You know, I don't know exactly. It's going to get rejected, back test the brown support band, and then push up higher, and then break the trend line, and then continue on the bull market. That's what I think, right? So yeah, I think it's just exhausted, and it's just needed to cool down. It's been cooling down for the entire year. I think it's getting ready to go. That's what I think. It's probably done enough technical damage and technical repair. One last one that somebody asked me about MetaPlanet. This is a Tokyo Stock Exchange stock. Wow. What do I make of this MetaPlanet stock? This is a weekly chart, so I think that this is already close to week, and close to week with a little bit of like a nasty candle here. Like this kind of candle generally is a little bit more toppy, but don't worry about it, because like some of these toppy candles just end up having like a huge bullish continuation, right? I think the trend matters more. I think the trend's starting to get a little bit tired here. I'm not seeing any bearish divergency on the weekly, so I would say that the trend is still your friend, and the trend still wants to maybe go up here, but the global bullish trend here on the weekly is also starting to kind of curl back up, right? So I think it probably wants to keep making highs, and it just simply couldn't, because it's just it's just waiting for the bullish trend to continue to expand. If you look at the monthly, this thing has just been on a beast mode. Like, how many candles is it closing above the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When's the last time you have more than 3 candles closing above the upper Bollinger Band? What happened afterwards? Cool down for like 3 or 4 months straight, right? So is it a period of time where we need to cool down here? It might be, but the trend is still powerful. The trend still wants to go up. I don't know whether or not this is the top. If I do a little bit of a fib level here, I'm going to do this on a log here, because that's the only one that's going to make sense. You know why I'm a little bit worried about this? Because it's at a 0.618. I'm not going to buy here. It's also got some pretty significant, rejection candles over here. So this seems like an area where it's maybe time to kind of pay attention to, especially since it's already closed about the upper bullish band here for so many months. I don't want to bet against the trend though, right? Maybe just a little bit of cool down here before going up higher. I don't want to bet against the trend here, but if it was gonna get stalled, or it's gonna be like the old Russian leader, it's gonna be like Stalin. This might be the area to do it at. This might be the area to do it at. I'm trying to look like higher time frame. Do I see any other resistance level here on the 2-month chart, on the 3-month chart? Not really. I think you're really just dealing with the 0.618 here. Looking at a 3-month chart, looks like it wants to have some bullish continuation, because you have a katana here building up in prices above the katana, but this is a very, very strong resistance level probably. So be careful. Good looking stock though. That's a great find. Pretty great find actually. I think I've addressed a lot of y'all's requests. Somebody requested like 3. I'm just gonna do 2 because at some point I gotta carry my life and do my work and and things like that. So thank you for supporting my channel. Hope this helps you. And we'll take it from there. Have a good one. Bye.